Day. As you know, today is exactly 6 months since the first person in Britain died of COVID-19. Tens of thousands of lives later, it feels that perhaps we haven't had a time for this country to mourn, to collectively come together and to feel the pain of loss. So that's what today is about. It's a chance for us to come together, to think about those who are no longer with us. Shakespeare says that sorrow must be given words, and if not, it can overwrought the heart and break it. And I feel that many people in this country have felt that pain of the loss without having a chance to share the collective grief with friends, with neighbours, with family. So I'd like to first introduce you to Andy Pakula, who's the minister here. Salman, Salman, who does the incredible Forest of Memories, the COVID Memorial Forest, which will be a lasting monument to those who've died.
Peace to you all. Firstly, I would like to thank the organisers for inviting our organisation to take part in today's healing process. Thank you to all the guests that have attended today, and I'd like to say that my thoughts and condolences and prayers are with you. I'm looking forward to listening to stories. I feel touched and honoured that you've come here today to share your thoughts and stories with us today. During the pandemic, there have been a huge number of deaths. Families have been affected, businesses shut down, jobs have been lost. Our lives have been put on hold, but things seem to be getting better now. But as a community, we have not had the opportunity to heal together, to contemplate on those we have lost. We haven't been able to take a moment of reflection as a nation. This is why events like today are really important. They allow us to come together and to mourn those that we have lost. I too was one of those people affected by the job losses. I lost my job, and like everybody else, I went into lockdown with my family. And the thing that really struck me were the numbers. They kept rising, coming out of the media, going up and up. And I really wanted to find out who these people were. I wanted a way of remembering who they were. What were their names? What were their dreams? Who were the people that they left behind? More than just a number, that was what was in my mind. Now, a group of friends, family, old colleagues, we came together behind this vision. And one of us had the amazing idea that we should plant a tree for everyone lost. Now, from that concept, we formed a not-for-profit organisation, and the COVID-19 Memorial Forest, our Forest of Memories, is our first project. In our vision, in our dream, we are pledging to plant a tree for every soul lost to COVID-19. To pay tribute to all of those individuals that did deeds, big or small, that they are remembered, cherished, and celebrated. When our forest is planted, we will create beautiful groves of reflection, as well as supplementing the natural habitat and providing educational facilities to children. Each tree will represent a person, and that person's life will live on through that tree. Using augmented reality, a visit to the forest will allow you to see and hear those loved ones lost and those that helped us along our journey through the pandemic. We believe that planting trees in remembrance of loved ones is very befitting. A tree is a symbol of hope, of everlasting love and rejuvenation. We've been through a traumatic time as a nation, and now let us collectively heal and heal the wounds of the planet. By coming together as a community, for the community, irrespective of what politicians may say, we can empower ourselves and help each other. Lockdown has shown us the capacity for human spirit for compassion. We have seen the nation come together. We wish to express this in a forest of memories. Now, around the church, there is information about how you can get involved. So please do pick up a leaflet, and if you feel the need, then please do donate as well. I've also left my contact card with my personal details around the church as well. Please do feel free to email me. I would like to pledge a tree to every person that has come here today. So please do send me the details, and I will make sure that that happens. Once again, thank you for all of those who have come here to share their loss with us. Your thoughts and the memory of your stories shall be with us forever. Thank you very much, and peace to you all.
I want to set a really good example here, because what we are going through is very serious, and it's not over, and we're still dealing with it. My name is Andy Pakula. I'm the minister here at this non-religious church, and it is a pleasure to have you here, even in difficult circumstances. You probably, one of the things that people always kind of go in the back of their mind, what the hell is a non-religious church? And a non-religious church is a place where the minister's an atheist, and we don't rely on anything supernatural. We think that we humans have to do it. And so we know that praying is not going to get rid of COVID-19. We know that it hasn't, it won't. It's not going to go away by magic. We need to rely on science. We need to rely on human efforts. We need to rely on our masks. It's something I'm very pleased to see so many masks on so many faces when we walk down the street and see only 10% of people wearing masks. So welcome to New Unity, to the Newington Green Meeting House. This is kind of special, actually. This building has been closed since the beginning of 2019, when we began renovations thanks to funding from the National Lottery Heritage Fund. And you're pretty much the first audience to be here on the anniversary of the half-year anniversary of the first death. This building has a tremendous history. Mary Wollstonecraft used to worship here in the 18th century, the mother of British feminism. It was a hotbed of revolution. It was a place that always dissented and always challenged the status quo, whether religiously or politically. Its members were supporters of the American Revolution and the French Revolution. And it also was a place of comfort. And today we stand here, sit here, knowing that 40,000 plus people have died from a virus that could have been better controlled by our government. We know also that the numbers are low. They reflect people who died within 28 days of receiving a positive diagnosis. How many people didn't get a diagnosis? How many people died more than 28 days after their diagnosis. The excess death numbers tell us that the deaths due to COVID may have been closer to 60,000 people than the 40,000 we're told. The 440,000 who've been infected also is undoubtedly a much, much higher number in reality. We have lived through a terrible time with nearly 1 million jobs lost, an economy that is deeply damaged and very fragile now, that will continue to haunt us for years to come. And we hope now that an end is in sight, but it's not here yet, and every day we can watch the infection numbers going up as we're opening the world again. And that's scary. And we don't have an answer. We don't have a vaccine yet. We hope to have a vaccine. And so we are here to remember and to mourn and to treasure the people who are gone, treasure all the losses that have happened, remember and have compassion for everyone who suffered, whether because they have passed away, whether they're because a loved one has passed away, whether because they've been ill and their illness has continued, as so many have, whether they are now impoverished, whether they are living with mental illness, with anxiety, with depression caused by this pandemic. Today is about all of them. And that's why we're here, to take care of each other, to be there for each other, to care. So thank you for being here. I also want to offer you, just as an aside, that afterwards I'd be happy to give you a tour of the newly renovated building, which is some kind of a nice perk given all we've been through. Thank you for being here.
I'm going to read a poem by the Chilean poet Pablo Neruda called Finale. Mathilde, years or days sleeping, feverish, here or there, gazing off, twisting my spine, bleeding true blood. Perhaps I awaken or am lost, sleeping. Hospital beds, foreign windows, white uniforms of the silent walkers, the clumsiness of feet. And then, these journeys and my sea of renewal, your head on the pillow, your hands floating in the light, in my light, over my earth. It was beautiful to live when you lived. The world is bluer and of the earth at night when I sleep, enormous, within your small hands.
Thank you, Simona. I think, are you going to play? We've got Ilana, sorry. It's been a very long week. Ilana Lorraine, who's an incredible singer. She's playing with Dale Davis, who's an incredible musician. Whilst they set up, are you setting up? I'd just like to say a few other words. Will you be straight? No. Yeah, so. I wrote a piece in Byline Times yesterday talking about why we're doing this. The fact that the only moment of collective shared experience, shared emotion that we've had in the last 6 months, apart from Clap the Carers, has been a celebration for VE Day, the nostalgia of that, which is very important, but nevertheless, the importance of grieving for people who have lost is essential. Collective grief can do something for a nation, and collective grief can do something for us as individuals. Thinking about grief, it's something that we're not prepared for, not trained for, not taught to deal with. And when it hits us, it can hit us very suddenly, very hard. And when it does, we can often feel very overwhelmed. We struggle to handle it on our own, which is why we turn to our friends, to our family, to our communities to share that burden. The idea of grief is that it's something that must be witnessed in order for it to become more manageable. But let's not think so negatively on grief, because grief is the flip side of love. You cannot grieve unless you have loved. And I think everyone here who's grieving, and everyone in the country who's grieving, is grieving because they feel loss, because they feel love. And that feeling is something we can grow from, and something we can learn from. And therefore, I call upon people who've struggled to push the grief aside, to allow themselves to be distracted by so many distractions that fill our timelines and fill our heads each day from the moment we awake. I ask you to put down your phone, to close your eyes and think about the person you've lost, to allow yourself to feel the pain, to feel the loss, to feel the grief. This is Ilana, who's absolutely incredible.
Not that tall though. Hi everybody. So thank you for having me here and sending you all lots of love and hope. And so the two songs I'm going to sing to you are the two I'm actually bringing out. One is called Reason Why. This is the next song I'll sing. And it's all about hope and love. And I really hope that the words, if you listen to the words you'll hear, this was a really special song that meant a lot to me in a similar situation to this. And the song was written on a piano that I found in the middle of a field at a festival called the Secret Garden Party. But this is called Reason Why.
For
So the next song that I'll sing you is my second single. I'm hopefully releasing these shortly. But this is a song that's called Saviour. And this, when you hear the lyrics, this is about kind of, we all have it within ourselves to find the strength. And, you know, sometimes it takes a lot to be brave. And I think, you know, obviously at this time, it's this is a crazy time for all of us. And within us, we have it for ourselves. And a lot of the time, we think we need to look around and find outside of that, but we have the strength within. So it's called Saviour. I'll sing it. Fighting yourself to trust the holy voice within you. It will be on your side no matter what you do. Strength in mind guides me to better places. With faith it works out, just pure imagination. 'Cause you can be a savior to yourself. You can be a savior to yourself. 'Cause you got what it takes, so just be brave. Yes. You can be a savior to yourself. Shine the light to brighten up the world within you, with strength on your side. Don't disguise when you feel grateful for the simple things in life. When you feel open to whatever comes before you, yes. Times we're facing, just be focusing on doing what's right, yes. I could be a savior to myself. Yes. 'Cause you could be a savior to yourself. Oh no. You've got what it takes, so just be brave. Yes. 'Cause you could be a savior to yourself. It's love we need, yes. The world's in need, yes. Oh no. Saviors who open to, yes. No. The savior for yourself, yes. Oh no. All love's in you, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for having myself. My name is Ilana Lorraine, and this is Del Davis, and sending you all lots of love.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for these two for dropping everything, from driving from Reading, from leaving a little gathering that she had to be with her family to be here today. It's absolutely incredible. And yeah, just to say that Dale is a very, very well-known musician. You might find very easily, but Ilana is fairly new on the scene. She hasn't got an agent yet, and you can find her details at her Instagram is Ilana, I-L-A-N-A, Lorraine, on Instagram. But Ilana Lorraine, you've all got it on your bits of paper as well, the service. So again, I'm going to hand over to Andy, in whose hallowed house we sit. And thank you again, Andy, for allowing us to
each of us comes here with some sadness and some loss. Maybe we haven't suffered directly. Maybe we've lost a loved one. Maybe we've suffered a damage to our mental health because of this time, or seen a loved one or a friend who has suffered in one of those ways. Maybe we've suffered because of the financial situation. We are all together in this suffering, which has been an amazing, amazing thing. Because for once, we're together. For once, we're not looking at each other like, oh, you've got it, you're not going through what I'm going through. No, now we're going through it together. Now mutual aid has a meaning much greater than we ever thought it might. And since we are in this universal thing called suffering, I would like to invite anyone who'd like to speak of what they may have lost or suffered, how this pandemic took something from them, how it hurt you, how it hurt those you love. And if you'd like to speak, you can just speak from right where you are. It's a small enough place that people will hear you if you speak reasonably loud. And we'll just take our time as people feel moved to speak. Speak.
Well, I work in a clothing store and we sell a lot of bits and bobs, including like plant pots and a lot of home accessories. And I've noticed that a lot of customers come in now that buy a lot more stuff for the home. So like beautiful pillows, beautiful like posters, beautiful wall art. And I think during the time of lockdown, I think so many people come to appreciate where they live. And I think that's one of the really nice positive things that come out of it. So that's what I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Someone very close to me actually got coronavirus but survived it, but has been overtaken with anxiety and depression to an extent that they never have before in their life. And it's really crippling and really hard to see the end of that. So I think of her.
I have a message. As people are coming in, they're invited to write a message or a thought or a picture which we're going to put on our tree of remembrance. And someone who is here who doesn't want to speak would like to just allow me to read out this message that she said. I lost my father to COVID in April. I have been overwhelmed by the kindness of strangers, making trees of remembrance, masks, yellow heart badges, yellow heart stones, knitted hearts, all in their own time, all for the bereaved.
I suppose it's a case of many people have many thoughts and feelings, but they don't quite know how to express them verbally or in words. All I can say is from what the planet, what we've all experienced basically in the pandemic is, I interpreted this as a form of pause. We've literally pressed a pause button on how we operate, and I try to see the glass half full, even though many people have suffered many losses and they are grieving, and my heart genuinely goes out to them for that. I lost my mother in early February, although we do not know yet whether it was related to that or not. But either way, I just took it as a time of stepping back and reflection, and when the lockdown did occur on the 23rd of March, which happened to be my birthday on that day. It was just very much a time for reflection. I think we've all managed to stop, pause, reflect and look back at things in a very different way. And perhaps notice things more that we hadn't really noticed before. Appreciate things more that we have very much taken for granted. And of course I would never have wanted something like this to happen, a pandemic, but I always try to see taking a positive out of whatever situation is thrown at you. Look at what it makes you think of and how you behave and how you just start noticing, to me, as highlighting more things around us, not necessarily negative, but also the positive. So that's very much something I feel that I'm sensing all the time. I think it's something I've always sensed for a long time growing up, but to me it's magnified that even more. So that's very much what I felt, not just for myself, but for everything and everyone around me.
Thank you.
I'd like to mention a close friend of mine, her son passed away. He was 28 and he had been a heroin addict, and he was on various substitution drugs to get off the heroin. And I have no idea whether it's COVID related or not. He passed away in mid-April. But certainly he was living at home with his parents during lockdown. It may well have been that his support network had ceased or dried up, or it may well have been that there were other issues going on with him that the whole pandemic just exacerbated, I suppose. So very sadly, father found him in his bedroom, passed away on a Sunday morning, and he had been with the family and just been quite sort of fairly happy with the family the night before. And they had a very sort of private service about 2 months after that, so it took a long, long time to really, and I still don't think they know fully the truth of what's happened. So I just want to remember that.
Thank you. And we forget how many indirect wounds and deaths take place because of lockdown and the harm that's caused to our children in these times.
So I'd like to echo what you're saying about the lockdown consequences. I think my experience is probably in a microcosm what a lot of people have experienced. I had COVID-19. I'm still suffering now, 4 or 5 months later, with breathing problems. And it's difficult, but that's on a very small scale. It's not comparable to the people that have lost somebody. But I have lost my aunt during lockdown. She didn't have COVID-19, but she couldn't get cancer treatment during that period. And within 3 months of being diagnosed with cancer, she was dead. And I think that's you've mentioned yourself. This is a recurring problem. Is that it's not just those people that have had COVID-19. It's not just those people that have succumbed to that virus. It's the 65,000 people in this country that have died within 3 months with excess deaths. These are significant numbers. It's a significant event for this country. And we've done nothing as a nation to do anything about this or even recognise it. You've made the point that it's become politicised. We can't talk about the losses in this country. We can't talk about the unemployed. We can't talk about the lack of treatment that people are receiving in this country. I, for instance, am still waiting to see a specialist for 5 months. What kind of country are we living in? Why can't we talk about this? And I think this today is about trying to recognise that what we've gone through, as we know, it's about trying to put those things back on the agenda, and it's about trying to treat everybody with a bit of humanity and not politics. I just hope this event can highlight that, and we can move forward as a nation again.
Thank you. share what you could share. And remember that everyone you meet, everyone here is going through something. These are difficult times. And they make worse everything that we've gone through in the past. It exacerbates our sorrows. It deepens our griefs. It heightens our anxiety. Be there for each other. You can be a savior to each other.
Simona Hughes, an actress, a theatre director and a theatre writer, would like to do another poem which I wish her luck for getting through it without crying.
The Stolen Child by Dominic Yeats. Where dips the rocky highland of Sleuthwood in the lake, there lies a leafy island where flapping herons wake the drowsy water rats. There we've hid our fairy vats, full of berries and of reddest stolen cherries. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy, hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wave of moonlight glosses the dim grey sands of light, far off, by fast rock crosses, we foot it all the night, weaving olden dances, mingling hands and mingling glances, till the moon has taken flight. To and fro we leap and chase the frothy bubbles, while the world is full of troubles and anxious in its sleep. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy, hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Where the wandering water gushes from the hills above Glencar, in pools among the rushes that scarce could bathe a star, we seek for slumbering trout and whispering in their ears, give them unquiet dreams. Leaning softly out from ferns that drop their tears over the young streams. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than you can understand. Away with us, he's going, the solemn-eyed. He'll hear no more lowing of the calves on the warm hillside, or the cattle on the hob sing peace into his breast, or see the brown mice bob round and round the oatmeal chest. For he comes, the human child, to the waters and the wild, with a fairy, hand in hand, for the world's more full of weeping than he can understand.
going to invite you into a time of reflection with some soft music, a chance to be alone with your thoughts. I want you to remember how every one of those numbers, 400,000 infections, 40,000 deaths, the million jobs lost, how each one of those is a person with a story, with a life, with a family, with a mother, with a father. How each one is far more than a number, every one of us. And remember too, what has come out from us human beings in this time of shared struggle. The tens of thousands of mutual aid groups, the people who have greeted their neighbors in a very un-British way, the people who have given of themselves, given their money, given food, turned out for the neighbors, been there for each other. The way we have started to look at society's struggles, how we've started to look at homelessness and racism, how we've started to recognize our humanity and our responsibilities for each other, how we've become more human because of this suffering. this time, this suffering has made us more human, has made us more compassionate, has made us more caring, has made us more ready to be there for each other. My fondest wish is that when we look back on this time from the future, that we see a time of turning, the time when we turned away from selfishness, from materialism, from consumerism, the beginning of a blessed time of solidarity and love. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Andy. You and Andy actually met in 2013 because of a shared grief. So it's fitting that we're back here in the same chapel where we first met. I'm now going to ask Paul and his daughter Ruby, who are going to play an amazing song. Thank you so much again for being here and listening. This will be the last song. Then Andy and me will say a few farewells, and then what we'll be doing is heading down to Trafalgar Square, where there's going to be a candlelit vigil at 8 o'clock in the North Terrace. I think Extinction Rebellion might be there as well, so we might have to take different corners of the square, I'm not sure. But this vigil is something that is hopefully being replicated all over the country. I know I've got details of small vigils and big vigils in towns and cities and villages, from Lewis and Brighton up to Liverpool. They will be put on the website and the Twitter and the Instagram and Facebook when I get a chance. But in the meantime, please just find it yourselves, or just grab a candle in a jar, step outside the door, knock on your neighbours' doors, come together. Even for a few minutes, take a photograph and just have a moment to think about the pain, the loss, the grief. Allow yourself to dwell on it, to embrace it, to see what it does to you and why it does that to you. As I say, we only feel grief because we felt love. Thank you now for Ruby.
So this is a song my dad wrote called The Virus Has Taken Enough. And he actually has a GoFundMe page which will raise money for the NHS. So maybe you could write the link somewhere so you guys can check out the website.
Thank you, Ruby. So I'd like to introduce Ruby, my daughter. And yes, the song was written in early April, in fairly early April. In response to what was going on, and obviously because being furloughed at the time, I found I had more time on my hands to do music. And the song is to raise money for NHS charities together. And Ruby very kindly sang with me for the Tower Theatre on an online Zoom performance later in April as well. And quite coincidentally, I hadn't thought about the song for a while, and it was only last week that I started to play it again. And then thank you to Simona and Stefan for inviting us to come down to play it today.
Switch chair first.
And I understand that piano is quite a new addition to the church, so I'm really happy to be able to be being one of the first to play it.
Took the night train out to the city and saw all the animals dance. The goats and the rhinos, the bats and the unicorn, each of them having their chance.
And will they remember how they had control of the planet for one single day?
Hey, I don't think they will.
They're animals still. The virus
Has taken enough. The virus has taken enough.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruby.
So that's the end of our service today. Hopefully, I know for some of us here it is an important moment. It's an important moment to allow ourselves to stop grieving and also to stop being angry. And I've been one of those people who's been very angry for 6 months. I'm an investigative journalist. And this date, the 5th of March, is not just the date that the first person in Britain was reported to have died of COVID. It's also the date on which Boris Johnson went on this morning with Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby. And Philip Schofield said, on the 5th of March, why, Prime Minister, why are we not locking down? Why the delay? And Boris Johnson said, well, that's a very good question, though. One of the theories is that we could actually take it on the chin, take it one go, let it spread through the population. Now, he said that was an idea that he had dismissed at the end of the sentence, but for me, that was what sparked me on my journey as an investigative journalist into COVID and looking at why take it on the chin, now known as herd immunity, was even considered, let alone employed by the government. So I've been very angry for a long time, but I can genuinely say today, I feel no anger. I feel only love. I feel the love of collective feeling, of being with brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers, uncles and aunts, friends, colleagues. And one of the things I said to people, this space, this day, is a sacred day. It's not a day for anger. It's not a day for politics. It's like one of those saloons in the Western where you take off your gun belt before you're allowed to come in. And the same way as soldiers in the First World War lay down their arms in the Somme on New Year's Eve and called a ceasefire, called off the guns. So for this day, and maybe beyond, I've managed to release that anger. And the anger is one of the things grief experts tell you is that if you can't express your grief, it gets stuck, it toxicifies, it can be let out in different ways. And one of those is anger. And we see ourselves in a very angry country at the moment. One of the things about COVID-19 is, in this country, it's been inextricably entwined with politics. And therefore, politicians don't want to associate themselves with the dead or with deaths. And therefore, even the very act of grieving has somehow become a political act. It's somehow become politicized. Now, this is all wrong. It's all upside down. And every culture, every community recognizes the importance of grief for a community, for a collective, and also for the individual. Now, this is not a left or a right issue. This is not an issue between Leavers and Remainers. This is not an issue between Piers Corbyn and Piers Morgan. You could be any of those things and still feel the same need to grieve. This is a day that I've asked people to come together and grieve, and it's just the start for this country, and also other people are doing this already, and the idea, what we've done with the COVID Memorial Forest, which is a remarkable thing, a living legacy for the dead, and also with NHS charities we're working with Hear Our Elders, a new platform to record older people's wisdom. So the idea that we can overcome our collective frustration, anger, discombobulation is possible, and it starts here. It starts with grief and remembrance. And on the 1st of January next year, we're going to mark 1 year of COVID with a World COVID Memorial Day. And I'd ask you to spread the word. Take this feeling from this hall tonight and take it out into the world and treat people with love. Thank you.
I just want to say that anyone who does want to have a little tour of this beautifully renovated 1708 building, just stick around.
That also, if anyone wants to come together to Trafalgar Square, we'll meet outside. I think there's a bus, maybe the 73. Which bus goes to Central London? But then we can all sit on the upper deck. Bagsy, I get the front window. Thanks again, Erin. Oh, and also massive thank you. Sorry, I almost forgot. Don't turn off. Stephen, the man who made this all possible. Seriously, 4 days ago, we'd never heard of each other. Probably now he wishes he never had. But for the last 4 days, Stephen has pulled this together. We've got amps, we've got mics, we've got sound, we've got a building, we've got a running order. So, presumably it's all worked.
I think we're all good. Thank you everybody for coming, and thank you, Stefan.